Rhymes of Remembrance. Before the year 1885, before the colonialists arrived in Rwanda, Rwandans lived in harmony amongst themselves. And although there had been 18 different clans, Rwandans moved up and down their social economic scale with ease. They intermarried, shared the same language, religion, culture, and traditions. Then, as part of German East Africa from 1894 to 1918, Rwanda came under the League of Nations mandate to Belgium after World War I, along with neighboring country Burundi. In 1932, the Belgian colonial administration in Rwanda issued identity cards to all Rwandans. They labeled anyone with more than 10 cows a Tutsi, less than 10 cows a Hutu, and those with no cows, a Twa. This created a specific division of 84% Hutu, 15% Tutsi, and 1% Twa in the population. The Belgians, during their colonial rule, favored the Tutsi over the Hutu and the Twa, exercising the power structure of the few to rule the many, creating a legacy of tension that exploded even before Rwanda gained its independence in 1962. An imposed identity of Hutu, Tutsi, and Twa began to determine people's lives and economic opportunity as division was cemented under the colonial state. Once upon a time, we sang one song. We danced one dance. We got along. Once upon a time, we intertwined. We wined and dined. We were just fine. But when unwanted guests joined our fest and changed our beat, our feet got lost in a rhythm of extreme divisionism. Suddenly we misunderstood the meaning of patriotism and bought into a notion of barbarism. And when we did this, we lost. We lost when we forgot that we were one people. That's when all our good turned to evil. We lost when we forgot that we shared the same culture and started targeting our own as would a vulture. We lost when we forgot that we spoke the same language, yet failed to understand one another. We lost when we forgot that we were sisters and brothers. And so we lost so much that we lost ourselves, allowed a living world to become a living hell. We lost so much, we lost 1 million of our own. We lost so much, we will live to mourn those who were torn away from us. We lost so much when we forgot to trust in us, which is why we must remember. We must remember the dear lives lost and what that cost us as a nation. We must remember that division leads to doom, that unity leads to bloom. So beware of even the hushed conversations of divisionism inside the comfort of your living room. We must remember to tell the whole truth of our history without leaving holes of hate for those who hear us. We must remember to be the defenders of our values and not the offenders, because only together can never again truly be never again. We must remember not to forget that we lost when we forgot.
nari gusaba umunyamwuga
The divide and rule strategy implemented by the colonialists in the 1930s influenced the Hutu revolution by 1959. Deeply rooted in the colonial policy of ethnic division, this revolution would be the destabilizing fracture in Rwanda's social fabric. From 1959 to 1994, the Hutu extremist regime in power has carried out massacres to exterminate the Tutsi people. The outburst of violence over the years towards the Tutsi people has caused many to flee Rwanda for safety in neighboring countries. Many Tutsi and moderate Hutu refugees in exile have come together to strategize on how to return home and bring peace to their brothers and sisters facing the wrath of Hutu extremists in Rwanda. They have formed a political party called the Rwandan Patriotic Front in hopes to bring a complete halt to years of discrimination, persecution, and injustice, and bring stability and prosperity back to the land of 1,000 hills. Kera cyane habayeho wowe, habaho njyewe, habaho twebwe. Batubwira bati wowe Gahutu, wowe Gatutsi, nawe Gatwa. Nuko biratangira, turangana, dutangira gusenyana, dusenya imitima, dusenya ingo, dusenya imiryango, dusenya ubushuti, dusenya igihugu. Bamwe muri twe barica, bamwe muri twe barapfa, abandi barahunga, twese dusigarana intimba ihetse agahinda. With broken hearts, no homes, no families or friends, with exiled women and men in countries that didn't belong to them, it almost felt like an end. We started to pretend that we were people who we weren't. We held passports of Ugandans, we held passports of Kenyans. We spoke not our mother tongue and spoke Lingala, Kirundi, Swahili, and Luganda. We knew how to cook their foods. We knew how to dance their dances. We knew their cultures and traditions. We did it so well, you couldn't tell the difference if you tried. But the tears of the past that we cried just couldn't be denied. And the people outside didn't help us. You see, there were no political or economic interests in Rwanda. So no wonder they left us alone. We had to figure it out on our own. While we played pretend during the day, we lay awake during the night, constantly thinking of a vision. We finally made a decision. It was time to make things right. Ironic how sometimes we have to fight for peace. We were tired of tears, sick of sorry, weak from worry. We made a choice. It was time to give our people back their voice. We strategized and analyzed on how to transform, put on our boots and uniform, march towards the borders with persistence, ready for the risk of resistance. Listen, my people were tired of pretense. We knew the journey ahead was intense. We disregarded our dreams, joined forces in and made teams. It was time to silence our people's screams. We had no heroes to call on because Batman was too busy, Superman was too scared, and no one else cared. So we had to become our own heroes. Somehow make millions out of zeros, some things out of nothings, cities out of ash, dust into grass. But listen, we didn't just pass our task. We excelled and expelled division, segregation, discrimination, and corruption. We built a nation far beyond our imagination, far beyond the world's expectation. It was sleepless nights of planning and meetings. It was time, blood, sweat, work, tears. It was sacrifice, and it came at an expensive price. So I salute you. With more than 1 million lives lost during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, which lasted for 100 days. Many survivors were left with nothing but sweet memories of their family and friends who had been brutally murdered. And while it seemed only fair that the world should stop so that they could mourn their loved ones, the world did not. And Rwanda was in ashes. Hills that once held schools, hospitals, homes, roads were now stacked with dead bodies. Nothing was functioning. And just like it was up to Rwandans to stop the genocide against the Tutsi, it was also up to them to rebuild their home, scarred by haunting memories and heavy hearts. They embarked on the daunting task of restoration and renewal. In my mind, you thrive. I think about you all the time. It's how I try to find you. In time and space, I keep you alive. In memories of us together, you survive. And I ask myself questions all the time, starting with, if time equals money, your memory is worth the most to me. But I do the math and turn all the days we could have spent together into any currency, and suddenly, money means nothing to me. Your soul was priceless. If memories of you were like building blocks, I'd be living on tower tops, begging God for just one last moment, one last talk. I still think of you a lot. I never stopped, never forgot. Oh, and if time is distance over speed, memories of you are going nowhere fast for a long time coming. Memories planted like seeds now blossom into trees, forests. You remain timeless. And yes, it's true. Days pass and years go by. Time flies, but thoughts of you still bring tears to my eyes and smiles on my face. I remember you no matter how fast life paces. And as I grow into tomorrow, I do so with hope. Every time I make a move, I'm inspired and guided by you. And everything I do now, I do for two. For the air you could have breathed, I inhale deep. For the dreams you could have achieved, I aim steep. For the risks you could have taken, I make the fearless leap. For the harvest, I plan for 2 and double my reap. So let the clocks tell the time. I will live to tell your story. I pray your soul rest forever in peace. After the genocide against the Tutsi, Rwandans who committed acts of genocide and survivors of the genocide found themselves living side by side once again, like they did before the colonialists came. The Rwandan government removed the colonialist-imposed ethnic groups from identification cards, as this had caused much pain and division in our past, and instead turned to Rwandan cultural values to find ways to build and reconcile its population, reinforcing our true shared identity. Du Munyarwanda. I am Rwandan. Years ago, we were surrounded by fears, our hopes immersed in tears. But collectively, we decided to switch gears and steered away from anger and danger, made enemies our peers, made strangers our neighbors. And now, instead of harm, we do each other favors. Together we make headlines in papers. And the same world that had forsaken us now remembers us in a different light. Today I have the honor to speak for a people who decided their pain would not be in vain, who turned their hatred into sacred lessons to learn from. A people who took their broken fractions and patched them to make a whole for the spaces between them that once were holes, whose focus on maximizing a death toll evolved to increasing life expectancy. I speak for a people whose mentality transformed in 30 years. I speak for people who have chosen to light candles of hope over burning fires of fear. A people who have made pathways out of roadblocks. A people who have replaced hate speech and propaganda with dialogue and conversation. A resilient people who decide every day to choose unity and reconciliation. I speak for a people from a nation who still mourn their lost loved ones every beginning of April, whose hearts still ache, but who became so acquaint with fear that they became unafraid. I speak for a people who still honor the memories of those loved and lost during the genocide against the Tutsi. These are the people that I have the honor to speak for today. When I travel, I introduce myself with pride. I tell the good people I meet where I'm from. And some respond, "Oh, Rwanda. Like Hotel Rwanda?" No, Rwanda is not Hotel Rwanda. But more than that, it's not how Rwandans should remain in memory when people think about my motherland. Rwanda is so much more.
Rwanda gihugu cyanjye, Rwanda rw'imisozi igihumbi, kabeho Rwanda we, kabeho Rwanda we. Rwanda gihugu cyanjye, Rwanda rw'imisozi igihumbi, kabeho Rwanda we, kabeho Rwanda we.
Rwanda is not Hotel Rwanda. No, Rwanda is the heart-beating life of Africa, the world's example and definition of hope, resilience, and ambition. If you haven't heard, listen. Grab a pen and learn, because Rwanda is a lesson. Rwanda is where the great Kivu Lake rests in, where the birds of the Nyungwe forest nest in, and the foreign investors fly all the way to invest in. What's happening right now in Rwanda is interesting, and it's amazing to be a part of and watch. Watch Rwanda. Rwanda is tens of growing cities, hundreds of opportunities, the land of 1,000 hills, the faces with 1,000,000 smiles, and just one people. We are united back home where I come from. Rwanda is birds and lakes, lights and city streets, volcanoes and silverbacks, restaurants, cinemas and coffee beans, teas, industries, electricity and honeybees. I come from the earth's last piece of paradise, a big-hearted land where my people chose forgiveness over the atrocities they witnessed, a land where we are not afraid to speak the truth, a land where there is room for the youth, a land where my people work hand in hand to demand justice and dignity. We come from a land that has risen from the ashes of sorrow to the rose blossom of tomorrow, a land of agachiro. We come from that land. So no, Rwanda is not Hotel Rwanda. We will not be defined by the genocide. Rwanda is a land of pride, the home to dreamers, believers, and achievers, learners and teachers, humans and creatures, the heart-beating life of Africa, the world's example and definition of hope, resilience, and ambition. If you haven't heard yet, I hope you listen, because Rwanda is a lesson.
Rwanda gihugu